Is
Yeah.
this the biggest news that's hit the
Well,
crypto world for
it's
today,
interesting.
for the
It's
last
yeah,
two
it's
days?
interesting. The biggest thing is a few points and then an idea that I have. I always throw my own personal thoughts into this. I philosophizer, if you will. The El Salvador is becoming the first country to use Bitcoin as legal tender. It signed the bill into law. It goes effective in 90 days. And the argument is 70% of the population has no access to traditional banking assets and services. So their plan is to use cryptocurrency. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons, but really the biggest reason is imagine if you're a central government, right, central bank, and you can't stimulate growth in your economy, right? You just can't do it. So then you have everybody using this very volatile asset that seems to be getting a lot of attention with expectations to be $100,000, $200,000, right? The future of everything. You don't need to generate stimulus from the inside of your country if you can have them buying and selling things in Bitcoin, and then if they receive payments in Bitcoin, then the Bitcoins increase in value. They could just be gaining value. They'd be literally using this speculation asset to gain real value by being paid in it. I think it's a really big bet and big gamble on the future of Bitcoin to run your whole country on. I think it's going to be a case study that we're all going to have to kind of watch and see how this goes, because if it goes well, it could signal, right, it could signal a move for people to actually really want to push for digital currencies and cryptocurrencies inside of other countries. But if it blows up, I don't know what that would do to El Salvador, to any country, but I guess we'll find out. This could go really well, it could go really badly. In 2018, Venezuela made their own digital currency, but they did that to kind of get around the U.S. sanctions and other issues that it was having with kind of restrictions put on it from other countries. And the Bahamas created a digital currency to help their citizens with banking services, which and that's kind of a stable way of doing things. So it's that's what a lot of other governments are looking into. I think I was watching this gentleman speak, and he was saying, 10 years ago, 60% of people were thinking about it. 30% of people or something like that were experimenting. Now it's 80% of people are thinking about it. 65% of people are experimenting, or governments, I should say, not people, governments. That's what it was in with respect to. So and I don't think it's a good idea to replace all fiat currency with digital currency ever, because remember, digital currencies need power, and if the grid shuts down or there is no power, there's no access to these things, like they're useless to you. I don't care how much you paid for it. If you can't use it or access it, then it's nothing more than a paperweight. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
technology that you store your cryptocurrency is nothing more than a paperweight. Um, but I think that it's inevitable that we'll see some form of digital currency exist in markets, but I think it'll be controlled by governments so that the central bank can have access to it, so it can help stabilize economies. Because if you have a currency that a central bank can't control, then how do you help your economy when your markets go up end over end, right? When there's a retraction or there's damage, you need to bail somebody out. You need to support part of the market. How do you do that? You can't control the currency. You can't print more of it, right? If you can't control it, you effectively control interest rates because you can't affect the currency that underpins all of your assets. Um, that's something to think of. But I think inevitably digital currency will take up some part. It will be another asset to exist because really most of us live digital lives anyway. Credit cards and with chips and Apple Pay and Google Pay and stuff like that, save password. So I don't think it would be a big cultural change,
Yeah.
but I think it would could be an impact on the market. But right now we're all just watching. Right now, cryptocurrency, meme stocks, these are all very speculative, things you can gamble with. Um, and now we're gonna watch. This is cool. El Salvador taken as legal tender. That's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah,
So
and who's going to be moving to El Salvador to take advantage of it being a legal tender? Because from my understanding now, they're not being taxed on capital gains. And I heard that they're also accepting citizenship from anybody immediately.
Um, well, if that's true, I mean, look, if you're trying to stimulate your economy, you're not saying no to anything. Yes, we'll do Bitcoin. We won't tax you with capital gains, and anyone can be a citizen. Literally, pile into my country, bring your money, buy stuff. We won't tax the crap out of you. Just go crazy, stimulate the shit out of my economy. Not a bad idea, because his responsibility as a leader is to his people, right? Regardless of what anybody else thinks, he's doing what he thinks is best to kind of bring his country to the next level here, and when traditional methods have been failing. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm not shooting it down.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
it's
like, I will find this interesting if it really does work. There will be evidence for how digital currencies can help bring maybe underdeveloped or poorer countries or countries that are struggling financially out of those brinks. So I think why it's so important to talk about today is because it's something that we should look at. Like it's something we should be very interested in because I view this as like this could be a very good case study of this idea that everyone has of how valuable it should be. Well, they're about to put their money where their mouth is. You know what I mean? And actually try to make it happen.
So is this a good thing or a bad thing for the Bitcoin market?
I think it's a good thing. I think adoption is a good thing. The more people who adopt it, the more big institutions that use it, generally they find it pushes the market up because more people are finding more faith that if all big investors are buying it, if big institutions are using it, that's more validation that Bitcoin will be used because if big institutions are doing it, they're not going to be wrong, right? If they see a future in this, they must know something I don't. So if a country does it, it's like wow, maybe if they are really going to have it as legal tender, like here it is now finally existing, and if it works and you see big gains and big news that year, definitely would expect the crypto market to increase because of that. Maybe even I would imagine new people would pour in too because they'd be like, look at the resurgence of the value of Bitcoin. That's evidence it's really working. Me, I'm not gonna play that game, but I'm gonna watch. I'm interested
It's a game I am very much enjoying. So that's
Yes.
pretty much that's our 5 topics for today.